Nathan, have you given any thought to the fact that this could be your last game in charge at Collingwood?
No, I haven't actually. Clearly there's a process in place for what the future of the club's going to look like, and I think the club's communicated really consistently, internally and externally, about the timelines. And clearly the board meeting on Tuesday was the next stage of that, to get the feedback from the review. And I applaud the management of the club for the way that they're going about it, and taking the time that it needs to make some pretty important decisions about what the future looks like.
So in your mind, is this game preparation for 2018?
I reckon anyone that's not in finals calculations, they want to finish the season off as well as they possibly can, and we're in that boat. We've communicated consistently that we want to hit the line as hard as we possibly can. So yeah, we've just been focusing on finishing this season as well as we can, but also with an eye to the future. And we've had a look at some younger players in different roles, and we'll continue to do that.
Do you know, Nathan? Do you know if this is your last game or not?
No.
Are you confident about being here next year? How do you feel about it within yourself?
As I said, I think the communication's been really clear. So whilst externally there might be differences of opinion on what's happening, what's not happening, the timelines, it's all opinion, because if you actually go back to the really consistent communication from the club, and probably more for our supporters, they should be really confident that the right processes are being undertaken in the right timeline, and there's no rush on these decisions insofar as they're really crucial on the future of the club. And I don't think we're not. I hope the club and the board don't feel under any external timelines. It's making the right decisions at the right time when they see fit.
Do you think the club should by now know if you're the right guy to go beyond this year, or how do you feel that review's sort of gone?
There's no doubt that there's been a great focus around the senior coach role going forward. There's plenty of other senior roles in the football department, and there's plenty of different roles in a football program that are ultimately pivotal to being able to see on-field success, and continual and consistent on-field success. So that's there's more than just my role that's being assessed in all of this, and I think that's been communicated pretty clearly.
When you look back on the year, 5 years here with Collingwood, would this be one of the toughest years that you've experienced as a coach, with the media speculation and the on-field?
6.
6.
No, look, if I reflect on the journey so far, there's been some tough times, but there's been some good times as well. Clearly we're here. We're all here to win, and we're all here to be involved in premierships. So, and that was part of the reason for the reviewing what has taken place over the last couple of years, what our environment looks like, and what are the inhibitors to success, and what are the things that we're actually doing well, and then making decisions appropriately. So that's that might sound a little bit bland, but that's how you get things right.
Have you seen the review and believe what you're saying when you say you haven't thought about whether it's your last game? But I mean, there must be some emotions going around there. It's not such a robotic call. I mean, this club has really been your life's work. I mean, what are the emotions, and are you prepared for what they might be at the end of the game?
No, I've been really good at just looking after the next step and worrying about what is next. So for me, and personally and professionally in my role, I've been really focused on the next game. And you probably won't believe me when I say that I've spent the majority of my week on Melbourne, and trying to set up a plan and a mentality that's going to give us the best chance of performing and winning a game of footy on Saturday. So clearly on the other side of that, then you lift your eyes a little bit and you're looking beyond that. And that, next week is probably where there'll be stronger conversations about what the future of the club looks like, where I fit in it. And clearly I'm not the only person in this position, so there's plenty of other people that are invested in the football club, not just myself.
Has Eddie spoken to you since the review? Have you had any feedback or seen the review?
Well, she's been running it, and that the meeting on Tuesday was to feedback the findings and to present some preliminary recommendations. I've been made aware of the feedback as it concerns the coaching group, without the recommendations part of it. But yeah, that's ongoing.
There was a mention about a mentor on the whiteboard. Do you feel like as if you need a mentor as a coach, or?
I think every coach, every person has has mentors of some description. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, it's all part of it.
You said before that it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Do you want to be here next year?
Yeah, I do. I love the club and want to see it succeed. So whatever role I'm asked to play in that, I'll play it. You know, whether it means stepping back and stepping away, or whether it means stepping up. You know, the club. It's not about me, and it won't be about any other individual in the club. It's about, you know, what's going to give it the opportunity for sustained success. So I'm totally committed to the footy club and doing what has to be done.
You said you saw that feedback. Was there anything that surprised you, caught you off guard so far in what you've seen?
Got any questions about Melbourne?
We'll get there.
Yeah, I'm done.
Ins and outs this week? You prepared to share any?
Yeah, well, we've got Brody and Tyson Goldsack who will be back available. So we'll look at the mix and the balance of it and make sure we get that right. Yeah, to give ourselves the best chance of winning the game. There'll be some shifts. You'll see some different stuff that has been bled through the last couple of weeks, but we might have a slightly different look compared to the last 4 or 5.
Carl Corby's a no at this stage, Bucks.
No, we'll do everything that we can do to get him the gong for the VFL goal kicking, and he's as I've said consistently, his development, his progress has been really strong, and we want him to finish this year off and hopefully have a couple of weeks or more in a VFL finals campaign.
Is Adam Treloar right to go?
Yep, no, he's good.
And just on the fact that the Jack Watts question, I suppose, across the road, do you look at an opposition team and say Jack Watts in it and think they're better or stronger? Or I'm asking about Melbourne at least.
Yeah, you are. Thank you. We find out the opposition team when they find out ours. So tonight is where that sort of happens and comes about. When you actually look at the Melbourne squad, you put their best 18 up and you whack the next sort of 8, 9, 10 magnets on the side, and they're really strong. They've got a really strong fit list at the moment. Plenty of players that can play multiple roles and have played them pretty well throughout the year. So they've given us plenty of trouble over the recent years. And there's no doubt that they've got some tough selection decisions to make going into what they see as a potentially final series. So we'll have our hands full.
Would you like to ruin the dream for them? Because they've beaten you the last 4 times, and you have the opportunity to potentially, throw a bit of chaos into their season. You
asked me if we want to win a game of footy. Yes, we do.
They're motivated though. Like, do you want to poke another team that's going to the finals in the eye?
No, it's for us. It's always for us. You can look at external motivation. You can look at reasons why outside of yourself. But I'd prefer to look at the positive opportunities and the intrinsic motivations, the things of why it's important to you. I think they're far more sustainable.
You talked about hitting the line hard.
Yep.
You pushed another premiership hope last week right to the line. Only a couple of goals that must fill you with a bit of confidence that the players really are. They're still motivated to really press hard.
Yeah, I think that one thing that you can't question in our season is the commitment of the playing group and the effort of our playing group. And I'd hope if you're an impartial or not impartial, clearly you wear your heart in your sleeve, and as a Collingwood supporter, you ride the bumps and bruises and the roller coaster journey of your team. But I reckon if they're sitting in the stands and they're having a look at their team and its constituents, the players that represent and pull the Guernsey on, that they've emptied themselves out. And they've done it consistently regardless of what's been said on the other side of the fence or what the challenges that have been thrown at them. And that's a real positive to build on. No matter what the results have been, for the most part, our players have butted up and given everything of themselves. I'm proud of that as their coach. And we've still got 4 quarters of footy to play this year, and we want to play it out.
Just on one player, there's been a bit written about Mason Cox and his future at the club. Where's he at in terms of his footy development, and do you still see him having a role in the ruck or more as a forward?
Oh, look, he's a big unit, so he's going to. There's really only a couple of roles that he's going to play, and clearly his body size and stature is suited to the ruck and the key forward role. And we've played him in both of those roles. He's still developing and coming along really well. The last couple of games in that ruck position have been exciting, and he's a better prospect now than he was 12 months ago. And in 12 months' time, he'll be better again. So we're really confident that potentially he and Brodie can form a really dangerous ruck pairing, but also be able to do some damage in the front half. So we've seen that a couple of times over the last couple of years, but clearly as Mason continues to develop and Brodie, it gives us more scope to use their strengths to our advantage.
Bucks, do you expect the Pies to be a big player in the free agency trade period? I know we've got a game to go, but I mean, it's been quite a few years without the finals. Do you need is it more of a developmental from the youth, or do you have to go hard again?
I reckon any questions that you ask me right now that are about beyond Saturday, with the backdrop of our review and our blueprint, there's probably a few other questions that need to be answered first. I mean, life does go on, and the business of the football club does go on, and I've still been involved in discussions clearly around how we're going to give ourselves a better chance to succeed going forward. And we'll be as bigger players as we need to be to give ourselves a chance to improve our list and give ourselves a better chance to perform.
Of the 8 wins you've had this year, 7 of them have had Wells playing. When you look at the recruitment of him, how do you value it at the end of the year? How do you rate it, given you only played the 10 games?
Yeah, I think I've been pretty clear with how we regard Daniel. We would like to have him on the field more, and that's been communicated pretty consistently as well. So the off-season is going to be really important for him and for us, because a fit Daniel Wells makes us a much better side. We want to see that. We want to see him more.
Does he know that? Does he accept that?
I reckon he does. Yeah. And it's all right to talk about it, but we got to get it done.
But just backing up what you said before, you definitely want the job next year. That comes about 100%.
Yes, mate.
Definitely good. Excellent.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks, mate.